Good evening and Prost. So I wanted to talk about Silva mind control because it again being advertised by these people who have this this channel called Gaia, where David Wilcock used to speak, and I have the other book too, but this is one from Jose Silva, and these techniques that you can learn to program your mind. First of all, the book is from 1958, the first book, and I wanted to talk about how powerful this could potentially be if you do it for a long time. Several people used to talk about changing their phenotype, which is basically what you look like, with these methods, which go way beyond auto-suggestion. So now it's being advertised by Mind Valley, which is also on YouTube, and as I said, it's self-hypnosis. It's how to heal yourself, stop smoking, correcting abnormal behavior, specific applications. But that's one of the diagrams of how Jose Silva pictured the subconscious to be like. So usually you would go from normal consciousness into beta brainwaves, which is relaxation, and from there you can go deeper into theta, and you could even go deeper than that into delta. That probably has something to do with delta force. If you really can do that like that, you can swim in ice cold water for long periods of times and don't even feel the cold. So your body reacts to the morphogenetic field around you. And for example, if you have problems with your self-esteem, other people will react to that and treat you accordingly. If you, on the other hand, have a lot of self-esteem, people will find you attractive. Even if you're not a hugely attractive person, if you consider yourself to be attractive, then you will. So it's all about the spiritual energy that you give off. And people react to that. They can't help it. Even if they know that you're doing it, they can't help it. Which is so. Yeah, so this is very, very, very powerful. stuff, but I stopped doing it because it's because if you read, it's basically witchcraft disguised as science, as I said, and I put a lot of hope in that to heal myself, but something else happened that took care of that. And it's unbelievable that people, if you are an atheist and you never think about these things, like Carl Gustav Jung said, people don't have ideas, ideas have people. So you become basically possessed by the ideas that you have been given through your parents, religion, and so on. So and using this, for example, and this is very easy. You could begin by implementing a hypnotic countdown. Like you would close your eyes, go in a relaxed state, and you always use the same countdown, like for example three times the number 3, 3 times the number 2, 3 times the number 1, and that's basically, if you listen to him, the on YouTube, these meditations that he recorded for people, he always begins it with 333, and you would visualize the number 222111, and usually then you then he would say, you're now in an alpha state of mind, you're totally relaxed, and so on. So that's an easy hypnotic trigger countdown. Now I'm grasping for words in English again. So anyway, so and it's interesting that this has been, like I said, this has had a recurrence every 100 years or so, these occult ideas. And if you keep doing that, and there was one interview with a guy called Andy Perrow, and I think it's, I don't know how long, 7-8 hours. I think it's an audio book or something like that. And he was his father was in the military, and his father would take him as a child to these classes, these Silva mind control classes. And later, when he was beginning in university, they were searching for people who were involved with Silva mind control when they were still children, because then you're basically in a hypnotic state anyway all the time, so you have a huge neuroplasticity, and he used it for professional sports. I think he was involved in bodybuilding and wrestling. So for bodybuilding, he used to visualize himself after the hypnotic induction in his temple. He would visualize his biceps, and he would like pump them up with an air pump, and they would get bigger and bigger and bigger, and this would have effects on his phenotype. So he won every bodybuilding championship, although one of the I think it was the director of the school, his son was in his class, and his son was taking steroids, and he could not keep up with him. And the father of that guy tried to expose him for using steroids, but he didn't use steroids. He used visualization. So he tried to expose him with a urine test and blood test and so on and so forth, and couldn't do it. It's a very long story. So he was basically then put in this super soldier program. The Andy Perro story. So yeah. And in the end, I don't know what happened to him, but he wrote that book about his life. And he got involved with these crazy Satanist guys or whatever. And it's a very strange story. Anyway, but there was another guy who talked about changing your phenotype with magic, or even just with suggestion, and that was Tom Riddle, the MI5 guy, or MI6 or whatever. So he used to talk for hours on end just about why it's possible to change your phenotype, which means the phenotype basically that's what you look like. And obviously it's also possible to change your genotype, because like the Bible says, the sins of the fathers visit their sons into the 5th to 7th generation. So this is very powerful, especially if you keep doing it. If you just should never change the method you're using, and you should never tell anybody which method you're using to do that. But if you do that, especially if you, and they found it out in the military a long time ago, especially if you teach that to children, what they can accomplish with that. Just imagine being able to calm your mind like that, to be completely calm if you want to, just by using whatever hypnotic trigger word. So Andy Perro, when he progressed to university, he then worked with a hypnotist, but he never told him that he used to store his memories in a mirror image of the temple that he built, which no one had access to except himself, which saved him and his memories after he was nearly killed. So that's the Andy Perro story, which is pretty incredible. So, and for example, he used to say that he was swimming in a swimming pool in hypnosis for hours, and he was throwing footballs around, and in one of these swimming pool sessions, one of the guys working there um, fell into the pool and nearly drowned immediately because the pool was, I don't know, like 3 degrees below zero or something. It's ice cold water, and he was swimming in there for hours. He couldn't feel it under hypnosis that it was that cold. So it's known that if your morphogenetic field doesn't realize that it's cold, then it's not cold. And you don't freeze to death, even though you should. After all medical standards, you should freeze to death if you are in boxer shorts in a swimming pool that has like 0 degrees Celsius. You should freeze to death within 30 minutes at the most. And he was in there for 1.5 hours throwing footballs around. He was bored to death. And then one of the guys tripped and fell into the swimming pool and immediately nearly drowned, and he had to push him out, and he couldn't even understand what his problem was because for him the water was warm. And he later learned that the water wasn't warm at all. So that was basically, that were the experiments that they did. And yeah, and the nasty stuff, I think I don't want to talk about the nasty stuff. That if anyone wants to know about the disgusting stuff that they also did, please read the book for yourself, because I cannot stomach reading that book. And I used to watch documentaries on serial killers all day, but this I cannot stomach that. That's disgusting. Sickening. The woodpecker cages and so on. So if anybody is interested, read Fritz Springmeier's book on trauma-based mind control, because I can't do it. So good night and God bless you all.